Hello, today I'm going to read a book that was translated from Lithuanian to English. The book is called Fighters for Freedom, Lithuanian Partisans versus the U.S.S.R. from 1944 to 1947 by Juozas Daumantas. It was translated from Lithuanian by E.G. Harrison and Manyland books. Fighters for Freedom, Lithuanian Partisans versus the U.S.S.R. by Juozas Daumantas. This is a factual, first-hand account of the activities of the armed resistance movement in Lithuania during the first years of Russian occupation, from 1944 to 1947, and of the desperate conditions which brought it about. The author, a leading figure in the movement, vividly describes how he and countless other young Lithuanian men and women were forced by the relentless Soviet persecutions to abandon their everyday activities and take up arms against their nation's oppressors. Living as the virtual outlaws, hiding in forests, knowing that at any moment they might be hunted down and killed like so many wild animals, these young freedom fighters were nonetheless determined to strike back with every resource at their command. We see them risking their lives to protect Lithuanian farmers against the Red Army marauders, publishing underground newspapers to combat the vast communist propaganda machine, even pitting their major forces against the dreaded NKVD and MGB. Privilege, July 1944. It is dinner time on a muddy Sunday afternoon in the late July, and we are gathered around the table as usual. Father sits at the head with Mother on his right and our maid-servant Anna beside her. My 4 brothers and I are seated around them, filling up whatever places are left. Wordlessly, Father picks up a spoon and starts sipping his cold buttermilk beet soup. We imitate his example without really wanting to do so. It is too hot and too noisy. Mortar shells destined for distant targets whine and whistle high in the air above our roof. Sometimes their targets aren't so distant, and then the resulting explosions shake the walls and rattle the window panes. We are anxious and tense as we wait for the inevitable to happen, and we dread it so much the more because we know that it is inevitable. We can sense its presence in each other's eyes, feel it all around us in the room, in the house, everywhere. Halfway through the dinner, we are startled by the tread of heavy military boots nearby, and look up to see a handful of German soldiers striding into our dining room. Hunger, fatigue, and same kind of anxiety which has been plaguing us all day are written on their faces. Essen, one of them whispers, starts to push his way towards the table. His comrades crowd in close beside him, leaving us little choice. We get up and let the Germans finish what remains of our meal. There is not nearly enough to satisfy the hunger of a 2-headed young private who pulls out his automatic and orders my mother to show him the way to the ladder. A few minutes later, and he returns with a huge chunk of smoked bacon, which he starts to devour as though it were some kind of a prize. The highest ranked of our uninvited guests has usurped father's place at the head of the table. We cannot help staring at him. For some reason, he has shaved only half of his chin. "Those damned Russians," he grumbles. "They have been hot on our heels all day. The devils didn't even give me time to get a decent shave." But then his anger suddenly gives way to resignation, and he concludes with a sigh. "Oh well, what does it matter? It's all over anyway, with us and with Germany." Such were the last words of the last German to set foot on our land.